High on a jagged bluff overlooking the town of Coldwater, Maine, the old Mercy Hospital squatted like a forgotten god, its broken windows glinting like blind eyes in the October dusk. The townsfolk didn't talk about it much, not directly, but you'd catch whispers in the diner or the feed store, stories of screams in the night, of lights flickering in rooms that hadn't held a living soul in decades. They said the place was cursed, that the hill itself was sour, soaked in something darker than the granite it stood on. I'd heard the tales since I was a kid, sneaking smokes behind the high school, daring each other to climb the rusted gate and spend a night in those rotting halls. Nobody ever did. Not really. But the stories stuck, like damp rot in your bones. My name's Danny Tremont, and I've been chasing ghost stories for 15 years, ever since I found a dog-eared copy of Salem's Lot in my dad's attic. I'm no hero, just a guy with a camera and a knack for digging up the past. But Mercy Hospital? That place was different. It wasn't just a story. It was a wound, festering in the heart of Coldwater. I'd come to peel back the bandage, to see what was underneath, and what I found was worse than any ghost. Mercy Hospital opened its doors in 1923, back when Coldwater was flush with logging money and big dreams. It was a marvel, they said, a beacon of hope carved into the hill. The best equipment, the sharpest doctors, nurses who could stitch a man's soul back into his body. Old photos show it gleaming white under a summer sky, all clean lines and proud columns, like something out of a postcard. The town loved it. Babies were born there, lives saved, miracles worked under the hum of electric lights. Dr. Elias Hawthorne, the head physician, was a local legend. Hands steady as stone, eyes kind but sharp, like he could see right through you to the sickness inside. I tracked down some of those old stories, sitting in the Coldwater library, with microfiche that smelled of dust and time. Nurses who worked double shifts, laughing through the exhaustion. Patients who swore the place felt alive, like the walls themselves cared. But even then, there were shadows. A janitor named Amos Pike, who'd worked there in the 40s, told a reporter in '67 about strange things. Doors locking on their own, whispers in the basement when he swept the floors at night. He quit after finding a scalpel stuck point first in the wall of the boiler room. No explanation. No fingerprints. Just a cold feeling that followed him home. By the 1970s, the shine was gone. The logging dried up, and so did the money. Mercy started cutting corners. Fewer staff, cheaper supplies. Patients complained of neglect, of nurses who looked through them like they were already ghosts. Then came the fire of '78. Not a big one. Not at first. A faulty wire in the east wing, they said. But it spread fast, eating through the third floor where the psychiatric ward was. 23 patients died, most of them strapped to their beds. The papers called it a tragedy, but the whispers called it something else. Murder, some said. Others said worse. Sacrifice. The hospital limped on for another decade, but it was never the same. By '89, it was shuttered, left to rot under the weight of its own secrets. That's when the stories really took root. Kids sneaking in on dares reported footsteps in empty halls, laughter that wasn't human. A hunter in '95 swore he saw a woman in a white gown, standing at a window, her face half burned, staring down at him. He never hunted that hill again. I got my hands on the county records, brittle pages that hadn't seen light in years. The fire was no accident, not according to a buried inspector's report. Traces of kerosene ignored by the coroner. And the patients? Not all of them were accounted for. 3 names, Margaret Cole, Thomas Reed, and a girl listed only as Jane, age 14, were marked missing, not dead. Their files were gone, scrubbed like they'd never existed. I tracked down a nurse, Evelyn Pratt, 82 and sharp as a tack, living in a trailer park outside town. She worked at Mercy until the end, and her hands shook when she talked about the East Wing. They locked those doors at night, she told me, her voice low, like she was afraid the walls could still hear. Not for safety, to keep something in. Dr. Hawthorne, he changed after the war. Started doing things, experiments. Said it was for science, but I saw the blood. I saw the way those patients screamed. Evelyn wouldn't say more, just pressed a rosary into my hand and told me to stay away from the hill. But I couldn't. I went up there at dusk, my camera heavy around my neck, the air thick with the smell of pine and decay. The hospital loomed, its walls streaked with moss, windows like black teeth. Inside it was worse, floors sagging, air so cold it burned. My flashlight caught glimpses of the past. Rusted gurneys, scattered papers, a child's shoe in a corner, laces still tied. In the east wing, I found scorch marks climbing the walls like claws, and something else, a smell, faint but wrong, like meat left too long in the sun. I set up my camera, recorded every creak, every shadow. At 2:17 a.m., the air changed, heavy, like someone was breathing just behind me. My recorder caught it, a whisper, not words, just a sound like grief twisted inside out. I played it back, and my skin crawled. It wasn't human, not quite. I dug deeper, chasing names and dates. Dr. Hawthorne died in '79, a year after the fire. Found in his car at the bottom of the hill, neck broken, no skid marks. The official report said accident, but the coroner's notes mentioned bruises on his arms, like someone had held him down. The 3 missing patients? No trace, but a groundskeeper from the '80s swore he saw a girl in the woods, pale as bone, her eyes too big, too dark. He quit the next day. The truth, if there is one, is splintered. The fire was no accident, that much I'm sure of. Hawthorne was doing something up there. Experiments, rituals, who knows? The records are too clean, too empty, like someone wanted the past erased. But the hill remembers, the hospital remembers. You feel it when you stand there, the weight of eyes you can't see, the pull of something hungry. Mercy Hospital still stands, a husk of what it was, its walls holding secrets the town won't speak. The county talks about tearing it down, building condos or a strip mall, but the plans always fall through. Contractors get sick, equipment fails, workers quit. The hill doesn't want to let go. I'm back in Coldwater now, editing this footage in a rented room above the diner. The hospital's shadow long across the town. I keep my recorder off at night. Don't want to hear what it might catch. But I dream of that place, of locked doors and burned hands reaching from the dark. If you've got a story about Mercy, or if you've felt that chill on the hill, tell me. I'm listening. Because some truths don't stay buried, no matter how deep you dig.